Hey, everybody. This is the Gimbalabs weekly update. We are just checking that we are propagating as usual.
We are live.
We are live. Okay, good. Hey, and sorry for the little delay. Sometimes on Friday mornings, we find ourselves in some really exciting conversations. I'm sure that y'all watching can relate. But hi, my name is James, joined by my friends and teammates.
Hello, how's it going, everyone?
Hello, Roberto here.
Just telling Felix on Discord that we are started now. Hey, Lockhart. All right, so this is the Gimbalabs weekly update. Every Friday, we take a few minutes to provide some updates because we really believe this is our responsibility to the community to be open about what we're doing. So we follow the same agenda every time. We give some shout outs for people who have been contributing. We share some updates about what we've done and what our next steps are. We suggest some next steps to you, and then we open it up to some shared Q&A. So let's jump right in. I think all of us could take this first bullet point, but I know, Roberto, you suggested this one.
Yeah, I feel so grateful every week when I spend like the first hours of the morning going through the channels, all the channels, and playground projects, obviously the core leadership chat. I need to thank so many people because don't forget about the music shares and visual shares channels on the Discord. It feels so good, and I need to thank everybody in the Discord every week. I really enjoyed reading all your ideas and discussion, deep ideas and deep conversations happening there every week, every single day. And in the voice channels, well, that's a completely different level of conversations. Thank you, everybody.
We need to make a playlist eventually from that music shares channel someday when we all have time.
Yeah.
Fun going through there. It's hard to talk about it without resorting to superlatives, and I don't want to sound like I'm overstating something, but this is the community that we want to be a part of, and thanks to everybody who's contributing to making it that. Speaking specifically to Playground, I want to shout out our presenters from last Tuesday, N+Fold, Randall, Steve. As always, it goes too fast, these conversations, but I'm just thrilled to be learning every time alongside of you. It was mind-blowing what N+Fold shared with us. And I'm still I need to watch that video again to think about these ideas. But this is how we learn and grow, is by finding ourselves in these opportunities to have these conversations. So thank you. Can't say it enough. Speaking of specific contributions, Giovanni.
I can take the next one. Yeah. So we'll find out a little bit more next week what I've been working on, but mostly on Dandelion. And the shout out this week goes to Joey for 2 weeks in a row. Let's see if he's gonna make 3 for the contribution, for the active contribution on integrating introducing observability into the Dandelion cluster via recommending and preparing Kubernetes charts to introduce Grafana, Prometheus, and Loki that are the core of monitoring and alerting of our future and production version of Dandelion. And I'm happy to say that we are going from 0 to hero in the space of observability. We were lacking and falling a little bit behind, and thanks to his contribution, we've made huge stride. Thank you very much, Joy.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
And at the risk of being redundant, similar message here with the last one. I hope I'm not forgetting people on this list, but folks from the Catalyst Book Club and Kyle Solomon dropped by, Swarm Sessions, Community Advisors, WADA. We had a really important conversation on Wednesday that I hope is sticking with people and that I hope will continue to drive our action and motivate us to do the hard work ahead of us. And so I just want to thank everybody for bringing such candid ideas, things we're struggling with, things we're hoping for, and our full optimism that by talking about these things together, we can actually move the needle on the issues that we're talking about. I think we are working hard right now to share with the world what those issues are, and I don't want to be the main person telling that story yet, but I just wanted to make sure that the folks there feel seen, and I'm really eager to keep turning these conversations into action. So much more to come, but let's continue that work, and thank you all so much. All right, what we've done. It's hard to get into one list. Let's try.
Yeah, let's highlight some of the work. So in the IAC, infrastructure as code, on my side, I've been working on Terraform, on a Terraform plan. It's already on our GitLab to deploy Kubernetes on Scaleway, our provider, and then I automatically deploy customized Dandelion through Argo CT on that cluster. And this is the first project, the first Terraform project we will be polishing. But the idea is to have another one for AWS, another one for Google Cloud, another one for bare metal servers on your data center, local independent data center of choice where you only have SSH. So this Terra Grant, I'm not using native Terraform, I'm using Terra Grant, which allows you, it's a twin wrapper on top of Terraform that allows you to have some more hooks and some extra features that Terraform doesn't support itself, and will help me to coordinate the deployment on different providers. So there it is for anyone that want to check. It's very live at this moment, but keep an eye on it if you want to start deploying your thing on Scaleway this time.
And I can take the next two. So the first one is the polishing of the Argo CT integration. This is an effort that began 2 weeks ago. Argo CT is the CD stands for continuous deployment. Is a cloud native tool who is familiar with Jenkins, for instance. These are like cousins, let's put it this way. Is a way for automatically deploy things on a Kubernetes cluster. Kubernetes is the container orchestration technology that we choose for that. Roberto on our team chose for running Dandelion is perfect choice. So Argo CT just takes this to the next level because allows you to visualize very nicely what's deployed on the cluster, their logs, and the state of the deployment are glimpse. So this wasn't an easy integration. So we are taking a little bit of time to ensure that all the pieces on the moving parts are working properly, and hopefully within the next week we're gonna get it merged. But while we were polishing the deployment of Argo CT, we also started to work on the observability. This was a challenge that it was likely picked up by community members, in particular Joy, that I just spoke about like a minute ago. So shout out to him again. And he provided about 10 days ago with the code and the charts, Kubernetes charts, to introduce Prometheus, Grafana, and Loki onto the platform. Prometheus is called the time series database. Is tools that has been used widely into the ecosystem for 10 years at least. Is a very solid product. Grafana is a beautiful dashboard application, so we can build a wonderful dashboard that can represent the state of the health of the system. And Loki is I want to say kind of a log ingester, basically collects all the system logs and allows us to integrate within Grafana so that we can check the status and the health of the system from different point of view. So Also, this one is still on flight. We are polishing alongside with Argo CD the last few things. Sorry for being so long, but I really hope we're going to get this couple of things ready by the end of next week. And this is going to be a really, really huge step forward. So thanks to all the people involved, and especially to the community that is really, really contributing very actively with suggestion and actual code.
And colors. Thank you, Joey, for bringing colors to the dashboards with the dashboards.
And on behalf of everybody who has been watching what you guys are doing and who understands it to different levels, I know I'm somewhere in between in terms of how much I really understand the details of what's going on, but also on behalf of everybody who's going to be using these eventually. Shout outs to both of you, Roberto, Giovanni. It's really amazing to watch this take shape and to know that it's delivering on this vision. So thank you. Speaking of delivering on a vision, Julie sends her love. She can't make it today, but she's been really driving the redesign project on Gimbalabs.com. She's been forcing all of us to be clear about what the heck it is that we're building here, and it's been really satisfying work. It's complicated work, and it's real, and we hope that the redesign of the website helps to express that. So much more on that soon. And we set this out in the very first weekly update, but it continues to be a struggle, right? How do we report on what we've done and what we're going to do while minimizing hype? We don't want to just sit here talking about all the great things we're going to do. We want to tell you about what we've done. And so this was actually something I was also struggling with as we finished up part 3 of the What is Gimbalabs series on Medium. So that was published this morning. In this one, we ask, what is Gimbalabs a DAO? And I hope that anybody who takes a look at this will call us out on the things that are unclear and that we don't get right in that essay yet. Like everything, I hope that it's a work in progress. I'm looking at you and I'm looking forward to your feedback on what's written there. And again, don't want to be over promising things. We do want to be laying out a vision that we can achieve together. And so hopefully that this series of posts is helping to do that. And if you see ways to refine it, we can't wait to have those conversations and to go there together. So what are our next steps?
So as I was anticipating just a couple of minutes ago, my main objective for the next week is to bring closures to Argo CD and observability. Once that the merge request is reviewed with all the comments for both Argo CD and observability, we will proceed with merge. We will then release the new version of Dandelion with those 2 components in dev first. And once we are happy with that, we will promote this to our mainnet, to our production cluster. So stay tuned. I believe that the educational part for this point is going to be delayed an extra week. So we will take this one to production first, and then we will produce. Documentation is already there, but possibly there are going to be like a visual aid, a little video or something on how the deployment of Dandelion differs, or which are the options, rather, of deploying Dandelion with or without Argo CD. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you weren't so good at it, I will suggest if the 2 of us, jump on a coding on chain session and integrate the Argo CD with the Terraform lively. If you feel to. Public invitation.
Let's do it. How can I say no?
Can't wait. I'll come play like your foil there and just ask all the questions that nobody else wants to. If we can do that together,
we'll mooch you.
Giovanni, and the fact that you have education in the back of your mind as you build this thing. I mean, it's just another reason I'm so grateful to know you. It's really cool the way you blend the technical work with thinking about how you're going to tell other people about it. So.
As a good friend of mine said once, education is the best marketing we can have.
And that's in the Ergo Manifesto too. Listen, decentralization, the prerequisite is education, right? Education and documentation. Kyle also sends his love today. He couldn't make it, but he and I are talking about documenting the .NET libraries and also looking ahead to building additional ones. So it's really neat to recognize the role of documentation and how we're going to communicate with as many different people as possible. Speaking of communication, right, formalizing the organizational structure of Gimbalabs is essential. This is part of what I covered in the blog post this morning, but that's ongoing work. We've done a bunch of research in where is the best place to incorporate, so more on that soon. Like we already mentioned, the work with Gimbalabs.com is ongoing. And everything is ongoing. This is a really special thing about this moment, is that we've done enough to have clarity about what we want and need to do next. So whereas a few months ago we were wondering, hey, like, of all the things we could do, where is the best place to spend our time? I know that I don't worry about that anymore, because I know that the tasks have clarified. I think you guys feel the same. I know you've been super committed to making Dandelion what it can be. But Roberto, what else on the keep working point?
Yeah, just that, improving. It's iterating, failing fast, and improving. That's our main goal and focus. The calendar, as you said, we don't even have too much time to think about what we need to do, because our calendar is already getting full of events, and there is not much time to think about, just to sit down and get to the keyboard.
I'll shout out Steve Lockhart again, who reminded me earlier this week to pause and recognize the moment that we're living in every once in a while, and that was really helpful advice at the moment that I needed it, and just want to pay it forward and say the same to everybody else. This is a crazy moment in history that we get to experience together, so enjoy it. As for your next steps out there, we could all take this one, but Roberto, I'll hand it to you.
Deploy and stay, participate with us and with the network and with the awesome community, and with ours especially. Come to the playground. Try to get involved in anything that resonates with you. If it's about infrastructure, hit us, Giovanni or me. If it's about coding, hit Kyle. If it's about innovating, hit James, and get to the playground. That's all I have.
On my side is the keep the contribution to Dandelion coming. It was such a pleasure, and it was beautiful work, very clean, laid out beautifully. It was really, really easy to integrate Joe's work into the current stack. So keep doing it. If you have questions on how you can contribute to grow Dandelion, there are channels inside the Discord, the Gimbalabs Discord server. Just reach out to me or to Roberto, and we will point you to the right direction. There are a few things that are on the plates. We have a priority, but if there are other things you guys want to work on, just hit us up, and then we can definitely facilitate this. It's been such a great experience so far, and I'm sure we can make this continue.
I forgot to include the usual join us on Discord, but if you need that link, just write so in the comments and we'll get it to you. Same thing with Playground. Our weekly Playground meetings happen every Tuesday at 4 p.m. UTC. We may need to change that because there's a couple other developer meetings that happen at the same time, so we'll raise that question next week at Playground. But for now, that's where you can find it. It's an open conversation. It's a chance to hear different people's ideas, and they're different sorts of ideas, right? Sometimes it's a specific project, and other times it's a key concept or a system that we're all contributing to building together. A lot of this is outlined in the blog series that we continue to roll out, and I want to just reiterate, I hope that these blog posts can serve as conversation starters and not as an end, but as a place that we can start and move forward from. So, as always, that's what we've got on our agenda. But what do you have on yours? If anybody in the chat has questions, we're happy to take them right now.
And while the people are writing questions, I think we have to enjoy and celebrate the 1.5 million of Gimbalabs.
Hey.
Stack pool finally crossed yesterday. I happened to check my favorite list of pools, and I checked this few more bucks hitting the pool, and it was like joyful to watch 1.5 go Gimbalabs pool.
It's a nice to get to that point, and thank you to everybody who helped to get us there. That funds our work directly. A's got a question. Yes, speaking of formalizing and working on the website, is it bottom up? And if so, when does the community contribute? This is a perfect question. We are right now building the design parts. So towards the structure and the initial design, we're making that a focused project. Gabe's been working on that. Julie and he talk most days to get the site to the point where it needs to be. And the idea is for the content of the site to be ever evolving. So yeah, as soon as these initial designs are done, we get it up with the content that we have so far. Then the next step is to create the systems for anyone to keep contributing, for example, to Dandelion documentation or additional endpoints, right? To Playground, both the tools and the projects that we create. If somebody contributes to the Playground, the invitation will always be open for the same person to add a post about that on the Gimbalabs site. Library, the libraries project that I mentioned earlier. What am I missing? Just all these things that we have several of that will be ongoing iterative content. Just looking back up in the chat. Thanks for the greetings, everybody. Right. Well, if there's no more questions, any last words from you guys? Ooh, nice. Here's a good one.
You want to take that?
Yes, go ahead.
Sure. So Dandelion is a collection of APIs from the official APIs from Cardano. So if any developers wants to start to work and interact with the Cardano blockchain, needs at least the so-called Cardano node and needs to interact with it so that they can then have access to the blockchain. So to generate transaction, create metadata, mint NFT tokens, mint native assets, and all these kind of things. Now, it would be fantastic if it was only the Cardano node that you needed to interact with the blockchain. The reality is that there is a large family of services that are required to do all the things a developer may require to interact with the blockchain. And last week, I had a nice, lovely conversation with one of the tech members of the Cardano community, and they told me that because they were working on developing on the blockchain, they needed to instantiate and manage all those services themselves. And because the project is evolving very quickly, the documentation is still a little bit not the best, let's say. And so even when they managed to run all those services, they, in their own words, they said it felt it was a little bit hacky. So we don't want that. We want to remove this friction, this gap, and we want to manage this complexity on the behalf of the technical community, so that expert people like Roberto and myself, we will provide a recipe on how to easily and effectively manage those services. And this is exactly what Dandelion is about. Dandelion focuses on two groups of people that sometimes can be a little bit and a little bit. We want to focus on the fact that we want to provide a recipe for easily manage all the Cardano's APIs. But on the flip side, we also want developers to have a playground on where test their ideas. So instead of dealing with, I want to do an Explorer, but I need to launch 10 APIs first. While what we want to do is that we manage the infrastructure with you, the Node, the GraphQL, the Postgres, the whatever. And then the developer only focus on what they are really good at, that is writing code, build beautiful websites. And then they talk to Dandelion, that is nothing else, again, than a collection of the official Cardano APIs. And then they can focus on the actual website. So just putting this in few words is just reduce friction and encourage adoption from both the operational world and the development world. I hope this clarifies a little bit.
Does that Cardano logo look a little bit like a dandelion?
You have to blow on it and the dots needs to start to go.
That's right. Exactly right. I mean, this is the idealized structure looks like this, but we all know that the world is more chaotic than that, right? And this is and Dandelion embraces this, right? That all the chaos of all of us real human beings who are about to start using this beautiful code in all sorts of unexpected ways. Dandelion is a big part of how we get there. A says...
A is correctly saying that this also blends into the larger vision of Gimbalabs, where we want to help also decentralize this core value of the infrastructure, right? So we have examples from other blockchains where there are players that are unfortunately centralizing the access to the blockchain, providing their own solution. Because I didn't want to take 25 minutes to explain all the things that Dandelion is, the philosophy that has been started from Gimbalabs and from Roberto in primis is to be open source. So everything that we do is transparent, is there. If it is broken, you can fix it. If you want to enhance it, you can. And if you're going to use it just by yourself, you can. And this allows us in the long term to create a network of this infrastructure so that we can decentralize also this important bridge between the dApps and the services and the actual blockchain.
Yeah, decentralize everything. Decentralize the world, as Codex data says. And that doesn't mean that we need to really, we are decentralized maximalist. And what does that mean? We pursue enough decentralization, whatever that means, on every layer. Yeah, having a single provider for these services, it's far from enough decentralized. I mean, there is nothing wrong with having AWS, GCP, Google Cloud, and having those big players, but we need the small ones. We need to empower people to play on the small, on the pond, on the ocean, and yeah, that's
there's no better or worse. There's different, right? And there's good for this case and that case. There's better for this person and that person. Let's make sure it exists.
In a way, yes, I'm happy to take this one too. Vincent, yes, it sounds like an active proxy. So you just start Dandelion and send API calls to localhost. Yes, it's exactly this, and likely there are tools into the industry, namely Kubernetes, that allows you to give your local laptop the abstraction of being like a cloud provider. So it doesn't matter if you're running on your own laptop or on your private server or on Google, and as Roberto was saying, or in AWS. You just apply exactly the same commands and you have exactly the same abstraction. And then if you're serving a team of 100 developers, you can spin your own instance of Dandelion and just have your team to work on that instance. Or if you are an experienced developer and you can have Dandelion on your own laptop, and you can deploy your way. Or if you are a stake pool operators like me, like Roberto, or if you're a small company like Gimbalabs, you can have your own and welcome other developers and say, hey, if you want to start a project, you can start to use our API and start to tinker with it instead of having to install this very complicated thing that we made it easy. But instead of melting down your laptop running the whole thing, we, as SPOs, we can run an instance for you so that we can help developers to get started quickly.
Whoa, that was a fast car. Yeah, we are DevOps guys. we are DevOps engineers. We've been developing this tooling for companies as our main job. And one of the things you try to do as a DevOps is reducing divergences between environments. So it was important for us to be able to deploy this locally, so we could save some bugs on infrastructure in the cloud, develop and fine-tune locally, then throw it to the cloud so anyone could use it and put some heavier load than our laptop wouldn't handle. Reducing the differences between environment, it's something that saves companies a lot of money, because you always say, oh, it works on my machine, why it doesn't work on yours? Probably there is something different. So with this approach of deploying Kubernetes locally, we reduce those frictions. That's our main job now on Dandelion. It's providing of this facilitation to anyone that wants to deploy this thing for themselves or for selling their services to others. Roberto's Lambo took off. What is the intention for the file hosting when using the Cardano network? Where will site files be stored? Well, that's a question that we recently asked ourselves in the playground. I will ask you, what do you expect from your storage layer to provide to you? Privacy, redundancy, and enough decentralized network of nodes replicating your data. I would say IPFS, but just because it's the mainstream option, but you also have Arweave, which has a good amount of nodes and a different tokenomics. I mean, IPFS itself doesn't imply any tokenomics. You just use the peers in the network to reach other peers. I mean, you connect to the swarm, and then you can make this content not persistent but permanent, in the sense that the address will be consistent in the time, but you are not ensured that this content will be there tomorrow unless you use a pinning service. Then you have Filecoin, which is the network of space miners, where you have this tokenomics based on proof of space time. And that Filecoin network compares to Argwif. So comparing Argwif to IPFS, I don't think it's the fair thing. And then if you compare Filecoin and Argwif, you can you decide on whatever is important to you, cost, number of nodes in the network, because that somehow guarantees that the network will survive. So Codes says adding IPFS to Dandelion could be a good next step. Yep, probably one of the templates that you could switch on or off could be an IPFS node that complements your DApp for storage, and also an Argwif one, and also an whatever one, or
maybe something new that somebody else builds because they prioritize things differently, right? You might have the privacy version of a IPFS implementation, or you might have the speed version, right? Or whatever. And Dandelion's never going to be done, right? It'll just be a place where if somebody else creates something that needs to be served up, we now have a way to do that.
We have the framework.
We have the framework. That's the word. All right. That was fun. Thanks for the great questions today. I like how they tended a bit technical too. That was good. All right, here we'll do one more. This one's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's as you, I think it was you said, it's a proxy to Cardano network. So if you can sign a transaction, you can send metadata to the network through the GraphQL endpoint, because Submit API is going to be deprecated, and I wouldn't recommend you to send the metadata-rich transaction through the Submit API. So if you need to choose your strategy for doing that, go for the GraphQL and look into the GraphQL repository, where you will find examples for sending queries with Seaboard X Seaboard bytes.
Awesome. Much more to come in coding on chain and internal in Gimbalabs. Feel free to jump in anytime if anybody wants to learn more and ask questions about Dandelion tech or about the way we do things and launch new projects. Jump into the Discord server, and we will see you all soon. Back here next Friday, in between on Coding on Chain or at Playground. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a nice weekend.